Hello, everybody, and welcome to 8minutemovement.com, day 31. My name is Rob Gardner. I'm one of the leaders here at the 8-Minute Movement, and this is our second lesson for the day. We had a little mix-up with the internet and the snow and all the fun stuff yesterday, so we ended up with two lessons today, and it actually worked out really good because the previous lesson was on confession, and we talked about how confessing can allow us to remember where we're at and remember, have an accurate representation of the sins and struggles in our life, and that helps to magnify our need for God and kind of keeps us connected to Him in a great way. This second lesson ties into that because the lesson for today is called Riding the Bike, and it's revolving around the scripture in Proverbs 24:16, and you'll see how it fits in with confession in a second. It says this. It says, "For though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again, but the wicked are brought down by calamity." So we just talked about confession and talking about confessing our failures and falls. Now we're going to talk about dealing with these failures and falls and how falling is actually a part of the Christian life. So 3 quick points I want to make on this scripture here and tie it into Christianity. Number 1, falling hurts, but you can't ride a bike unless you're willing to fall. And for those of you, many of you have probably learned how to ride a bike by this point. You can remember what it was like to get those training wheels off and to ride down the street and to fall and scrape up your elbow or knee and get that first strawberry and you bust out the Neosporin and the Mickey Mouse Band-Aid and you get it strapped on. Nobody learns how to ride a bike on the very first try without falling. It's part of the process. And you can go to even more extreme examples than biking. You start looking at skateboarding. You start looking at skiing, bull riding, snowboarding, tightrope walking, gymnastics, all of these things that are really incredible when you watch them and you see these people hurling through the air and doing somersaults and flips and 360s. None of them got there without many falls. They didn't get there without falls. It was part of the learning process. Excuse me. And spiritually, it's no different. We know falling hurts. We know making mistakes hurts. We know that sinning is negative for us. We've talked about that. But it's a part of our growth process that we learn how to do that, and that we have to be willing to fail. If you get so scared of failing and falling and scraping your knee that you never get on a bike again, you'll never learn to ride a bike. You got to be willing to face those fears. And I think sometimes we get so scared of failure, we get so scared of messing up that we just throw our arms up and say, "I quit, I give up." And this scripture is saying, look, a righteous man is going to fall 7 times, but he will rise again. So it's important. If you want to walk along this Christian life and you want to get deeper with Christ, you want to get more spiritual with Christ, you're going to have to be willing to fail. You're going to have to be willing to take chances. And yes, it'll hurt, but God will be there to heal you. God will be there with the Neosporin and the Band-Aid, and God will help you, and you can and will rise again. Second point, which ties into this, is that all you have to do is get up one more time than you fall down. One more time, that's it. If you fall 8 times, all you got to do is be able to get up again and do it one more time. And I know how trying that can be at times. I know how difficult that can be. I know how resigned we can get to failure, and we can think, well, I've tried this 10 times. I've tried this 15 times. I've tried to quit smoking. I've tried to quit drinking. I've tried to quit looking at pornography. I've tried to quit touching my girlfriend or boyfriend. I've tried all of these things, and so we just kind of give up. But it's not about the number of times you failed. It's not about it. The scripture could say, "For though a righteous man falls 50 times, he rises again," or 70 times and rises again. The point is that you do rise again. And so sometimes I think we try and focus so hard on not doing something. We try and focus so hard on not making a mistake. All of our focus is on the not. And when we do that, what are we really doing? We're saying that it's our willpower, our strength that can do it. Instead of depending on Christ and saying, "God, change my heart. God, make me not lust after these things. God, make me not want to do these temptations." We're sitting here saying, "I'm going to flex my will muscle and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I can do this. I can do this." And we just keep falling because we're focused on the falling down. Instead, we should be focusing on Christ changing our lives, making us more like Him so we're less likely to do these things, and having that determination to get up. If you are determined to get up, less than focusing on the failure, if you are determined to get up and to get back into God's presence and to get back into the Bible and to get back into prayer, I guarantee you whatever you're facing, you will overcome with time. And God will continue to change your heart until you can overcome that thing. We just have to keep getting up. And then finally, the third point is the last half of this verse. It says, the wicked are brought down by calamity. See, again, I think that it's so easy, and I know we know this sometimes, but we still do it. We still fall into this trap of thinking, all right, I did these 4 spiritual things today. I went on and I watched the 8-minute movement. I got a little God out of it, and I talked to one of my friends at school who's a Christian for a little bit, and I prayed on the bus on the way home, and I read my Bible, but I called this guy a name, and I looked at some girls I wasn't supposed to be looking at, and I got in an argument with my parents, and we start weighing it out. How many good things did I do? How many bad things did I do? And so, well, I did 5 righteous things and 3 unrighteous things, so I'm pretty spiritual today. I'm feeling pretty righteous. But then the next day comes and I did like 5 or 6 bad things. I only did 1 or 2 good things, so now I'm less spiritual. And this scripture is saying, no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's not about your good deeds and your bad deeds. There's no magical scale that says the more good deeds you do, the more spiritual and righteous you are, and the less good deeds you do, the less spiritual and righteous you are. This is saying, look, there's a righteous man and there's a wicked man. The difference between the two is who gets up. The wicked man is brought down by calamity, by disaster, by mischief, depending on the different verses of the Bible you read. He's crumbled. One version of the Bible actually says he's brought face to the floor, completely wiped out by it. But the righteous man, he rises again. Did you catch the fact that the righteous man still falls? Righteous people are still going to make mistakes. People that love Jesus are still going to sin. Until we get to heaven, that's part of the process. But the difference, what separates you from the wicked man, what separates you from the unholy man, what separates you from the non-believer is your willingness to get back up, to get back on the bike, to keep fighting, to be willing to get those scraped arms, those scraped knees, those cuts, those bruises, but to keep fighting and working that dirty job because you know that he who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. My name is Rob Gardner with the 8minutemovement.com, and we will see you tomorrow.